Okay, so I'm going to run you through building a virtual machine. And basically, a virtual machine is a virtual instance of Windows or Linux or any operating system. And I can have multiple virtual machines running inside a singular computer or a singular piece of hardware. And in this case, we're using an Intel NUC. And what you're looking at here is Windows 10 installed on the Windows NUC. And inside this computer, I'm going to run what's called VirtualBox. And inside VirtualBox, I'm going to run multiple operating systems. All right, and these are basically virtual machines. So to create your first virtual machine, what we need to do is download a couple of prerequisites. And the first one you need to get is the VirtualBox Manager. So basically we need to navigate our way to virtualbox.org. Okay, and there are two bits of software that you want to download. That is the platform package, and also if we scroll down, the extension pack. Okay, and depending on your host computer, okay, so in my case I'm running Windows 10, so I'm going to get the Windows host platform package. If you're running OS X or Mac, you can get a host package down here, or even if you're running a Linux distribution, you can still run VirtualBox inside that machine. All right, in my case, I've gone ahead, I've downloaded VirtualBox and the extension pack here. The next thing we need to do is grab an image of the virtual machine that we want to install. So what I've done is I've gone to Ubuntu, and because down the track I'm going to install a VPN server onto this virtual machine. I've already got one running here, but I want another one. I'm going to use Ubuntu server. It's nice and light, and I've already downloaded the images, or that image here. So if you want to go ahead and grab that same image, feel free. Just navigate your way to ubuntu.com and grab the server. Right, from here, what we need to do is, once we've installed VirtualBox and we've got all the packages we need, we can go ahead and install the extension pack. I'm not going to walk you through that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just step through the steps to install the software. Right, from here, what we need to do is create a new virtual machine. So once you've opened up the virtual manager, okay, we just need to click on new. We're going to call it VPN2, only because I've already got a VPN running. And we're going to say it's a Linux distribution because we are using the Ubuntu image. And we'll click next there. All right, from here, we're going to set our memory size or RAM size. So for the VPN, we don't need too much. So I'm going to set 2 gig. Now we've got a 16 gig total, and that's spread between all the VMs. So if you have them all running at once and you run out of memory, all right, you just want to check how much you're running with each virtual machine. All right, from here, we want to give our virtual machine some hard disk space. So basically, we're taking from the physical hard disk, and we're going to allocate a certain amount to this virtual machine. So we're going to create a virtual hard disk now. We can, if we had one in the past that we used, we can actually load that old virtual hard drive. In our case, we're going to create a new one though. So we'll create that. You do have a few other types here. You've got VHDs, which are pretty common for Windows Hyper-V. However, we're just going to use the VirtualBox disk image or the VDI file, and that is basically our hard drive. All right, from here we can select if we want it dynamically allocated or fixed size. So dynamically allocated, what we can do is we can tell it an amount that we want it to use, but it just won't use that, and it'll, as we use up more disk space, it'll just slowly eat into that. It'll incrementally eat into it. I generally like to just go with fixed, so I know that what we've got is pretty much what we've got. So we're going to next on there. I'm going to allocate a bit more than 10 gig. I'm going to allocate it 20, remembering that in my case I have 2 terabyte I can allocate out on the SSD that's installed. Okay, I'll create that. Now this is the part that takes a while, so it can potentially take up to sort of 5 minutes to do. Whilst we're waiting for this, okay, we can probably have a look at the network adapters in Windows 10. Want to come up to Ethernet. and adapter options, and we want to start thinking about how we're going to get this virtual machine to talk through the network. Now, at the moment, you can see I've got two physical network adapters here. One is for the host computer that's running this this operating system, so the Windows 10, and then I've got another one here which is dedicated for this VPN. Okay, and I've done that on purpose, and I've used a USB to Ethernet adapter. I've done that on purpose so I could give this VPN, this virtual machine, its own IP address on the network. Okay, so at the moment we're not going to do that. We're not going to set that up, but just bear in mind that you may have to do that. You may need multiple Ethernet ports. You can tell the VPN to use the same Ethernet adapter as the host machine, but you can run into problems later on where, depending on what you run on this virtual machine, it may not be able to I guess use that network properly or how you would like it to work. So you may need maybe a computer or something, some hardware that allows you to have multiple Ethernet ports. All right, what we can see here is I'm just going to get rid of some of this stuff here. I'll bring it through the middle, and basically it's still powered off. It's not running, and what I want to do is I want to go into settings. So right click on it, settings, and from here you've got all your bits and pieces that would relate to hardware on a computer. So what I want to do is just jump down to system here, and we can allocate it some extra cores of the CPU. Again, a bit like the memory, making sure that you don't over allocate. Storage, this is probably the big one. What we want to do is we want to get this image and we want to essentially insert it into the virtual CD-ROM so that it's going to boot from this image. So we're just going to click here, choose disk, Ubuntu server, which is that one. And basically I'm saying that I want to boot this image when I first turn the machine on, and we're gonna try and install it onto vpn2.bdi, so this virtual hard drive or disk space. From here, what I was talking about before with the network adapters, I could go down to internal network, or sorry, a bridged adapter, and I could select the adapter I want to use. If I had a dedicated one, I could tell it to use that dedicated Ethernet port. In this case, we're just going to leave it as NAT, okay? And basically, it's the network address translation is going to use the host's IP or Ethernet adapter to access outside services. That's all there is to it. We'll click OK here, and we're going to start this VPN. So I'm going to click Start here, and what we're going to see is we're going to see the machine start up, and basically it's booted into that CD or that image that we've attached to it. And from here I can go ahead and I can start installing Ubuntu server. And we could have used a Windows 10 boot disk. We could have used Windows 10 set up for Windows 10. We could have a virtual machine of Windows 10. So there's no real changes there. So I'm not going to go through installing Ubuntu server just now. We will do that in the next video. But that's how easy it is to get yourself up and running on a VirtualBox.